In the pure realm of the great secret site, the five-peaked mountain, the blessings of Manjushi's wisdom ripened in your mind. Jigme Phuntsok at your feet, I pray, inspire me with her blessing, transmits the realization of wisdom, mind, lineage. The Dharma, infinitely profound as that is rarely encountered even in a million years. Now that we're able to hear, study, and follow it, may we fully realize the Tathagata's true meaning. In order to liberate all sentient beings, let us generate the supreme bodhicitta. Today, we're going to study Lama Mumtso's guidance that lights the way to liberation. She composed this guidance very early, back in 2000, which was 24 years ago. Many of you might not know this guidance because there was no Chinese translation available back then. Only Tibetan version was available. The title is called Guidance That Lights the Way to Liberation. The homage and invocation verse states, I prostrate to the root guru, indivisible from the lake-born Lord, single embodiment of the three secrets of all the victorious ones. As I explain the essence of instructions lightening the way to liberation, you, intelligent ones who are interested, listen with appreciation. The embodiment of the body, speech, and mind of the Buddhas of the past, present, future is Padmasambhava. He is the essence of all Buddhas. In front of our root guru, His Holiness Jigme Rinpoche, who is indivisible from Padmasambhava, Lama Mumtso prostrates respectfully with her body, speech, and mind. In Lama Mumtso's words to devoted virtuous men and women, she also pays homage to Padmasambhava in the beginning. As I mentioned previously, praying to Padmasambhava is very important. Sachen Lodro Rinpoche requested me to translate a certain instruction from Padmasambhava today, but I am swamped with many things right now. He said that Padmasambhava's teachings are very great. Well, I cannot commit to it because in my senior year, I'm not sure whether the right causes and conditions to do this will come together. Westerners have been particularly fond of Padmasambhava. This may be due to the special blessings from Padmasambhava to those who are in the degenerate age. Even if it's just a very short teaching from Padmasambhava, it can greatly benefit people. This particular interest may also be because Padmasambhava is a lay practitioner and actually exists in history. He lived in this world during the time of King Tszon. The duration of him abiding in this world is well acknowledged in history. He stayed in Tibetan region for about 1 year and a half during the time of Tszon. He also composed many treatises and translated many teachings. Some of his work are missing, while others are preserved in writing. Can anyone help me locate the Tibetan biography of Padmasambhava written by Taranatha in Zhonan School called 3 Reasons for Confidence? I probably can translate this. It doesn't have too many words. If it was very lengthy, I might not be able to commit to do the translation work since I'm already in my senior year. I hope that everyone can pray to Padmasambhava, read various versions of his biography, and practice Padmasambhava's guru yoga very often. This Guru Yoga is part of our preliminary practices. When we studied the words of my perfect teacher, through Guru Yoga, the strong blessings of Padmasambhava can easily blend into our mind. That will be easy for us to succeed in any type of practice. Guidance that lights the way to liberation contains the essence of instructions to enlightenment. So those who are interested and have wisdom should listen carefully. As mentioned in the 400 stanzas on the middle way, those who have wisdom, integrity, and the desire to seek truth are the proper dharma vessels. These proper dharma vessels should listen very carefully. Anyhow, one should listen very carefully whenever receiving dharma teachings. Next verse states, when fortunate people travel the road to liberation, they must first search for entrance to the way, which is the source of excellence in this and future lives. It's crucial to restrain mind stream with pure ethical discipline. This guidance has two main parts: precepts and actual practice. The parts on discipline or precepts discusses vows of 3 vehicles, which are pratimoksha vows, bodhisattva vows, and samaya. This verse is about the importance of discipline. The verse states, the fortunate people travel to the road to liberation. They must first search for the entrance to the way. The entrance to the way is like a key. Those who seek liberation must engage in the most fundamental practice at the entrance to the way. This is very crucial. This entrance to the way is keeping pure precepts. With this, one will have the basis for merits in 3 times, in current and future times. Therefore, it's extremely important to keep pure precepts and guard our minds. Regardless of which type of practices we engage in, as stated in letter to a friend, morality is the foundation for all virtues, as is the earth for all things animate and inanimate. Avatamsaka Sutra also provides that precepts are the foundation of the most supreme body. Thus, one should keep pure precepts. Those who do this will be praised by all the Buddhas. So those who keep pure precepts will be praised by the Buddhas and accumulate merit day by day. Additionally, Dharma protectors will protect them. Therefore, monastics, worldly alike, all of us should at least keep one precept. This is of pivotal importance. This verse talks about the foundation of liberation, which is discipline. Next verse discusses pratimoksha vows. From a preceptor or master who possesses the sets of the 5 qualities, receive the pratimoksha vows of 4-fold or 7-fold abandonment. This will not occur if you lack determination to be free. The thought of renouncing existence is therefore very important. A teacher with the sets of 5 qualities should uphold pure precepts, have been taking the full monastic vow for more than 10 years, master the 3-fold training of ethics, meditation, and wisdom. In front of this kind of teacher, one will receive the pratimoksha vows of 4-fold or 7-fold abandonment. 4-fold abandonment here refers to the 4 basic precepts of not killing, stealing, lying, and engaging in sexual misconduct. 7-fold abandonment means avoiding the 3 unvirtuous actions of the body and the 4 of the speech. since non-virtuous actions of the mind is difficult to detect. So pratimoksha vows generally focus on refraining from unvirtuous actions of body and speech. When receiving pratimoksha vows, it's better to receive monastic vows of bhikkhu, bhikkhuni, novice monk, or nun. If this is impossible, one should receive the refuge vows or vows of 5 precepts. If this is not impossible, one should receive certain precepts out of the 5. Alternatively, one should at least vow to refrain from killing for the rest of the life or for 1 year. The mind of renunciation is a must in order to receive pratimoksha vows. Without it, no true pratimoksha vows can be generated in one's mind stream. So renunciation towards samsara is very important. As stated in Dhamma-samukaya, one is only to deceive himself if he does not generate renunciation. Without renunciation, even if you take precepts on appearance, it's just deceiving yourself and does not bear much meanings. So whenever we take precepts, we must think that all beings in samsara need to be liberated, and we do not want to be trapped in samsara any longer. The entire 6 realms do not bear the slightest true meaning. But currently, we are trapped in samsara or human realm. So we should sincerely generate renunciation. Next verse is about bodhisattva vows. From a learned spiritual mentor who upholds the Mahayana vows, take the bodhisattva vows of aspiration and application through the ritual of the true traditions. If you don't have the commitment with twin aspects, then the vows are merely a reflection. Train again and again, therefore, in intention and compassion. As mentioned in the Way to the Bodhisattva and the ornament of the Mahayana Sutra, bodhisattva vows are Mahayana precepts in front of a learned master. One should take the bodhisattva vows of aspiration and application through the ritual of the 2 traditions. The 2 traditions are the tradition of profound view initiated by Nagarjuna and that of vast conduct initiated by a sangha. Either of these 2 traditions will do. Our Nyingma tradition normally follow Nagarjuna. One must take both vows of aspiration and vows of application. You must have the wisdom of attaining Buddhahood and the great compassion of liberating all beings. Without the vows of aspiration, which is the wish to liberate beings, and the vows of application, which is the action of liberating being, the generation of bodhicitta is merely a reflection. So we should constantly cultivate bodhicitta or bodhisattva vows, which is the union of wisdom and compassion. That's why we practice generating bodhicitta while reciting the King of Aspiration prayer every day. Actually, engaging in Mahayana practices very often give significance to our human lives. It's essential to do so. Or else, as said by Master Tsongkhapa, even if one generates renunciation without bodhicitta, one will be still trapped in samsara and cannot attain liberation. Therefore, an intelligent person should generate bodhicitta. As stated in Avatamsaka Sutra, one who generates solid, great compassion is fond of profound dharma. That is to say, with great compassion, one will naturally be interested in emptiness or other teachings of the Buddha. Especially Mahayana teachings. Why is that? It's because having generated compassion, seeing beings who haven't cultivated compassion and haven't realized emptiness, we will be very concerned and would like to liberate them as soon as possible. So we need to constantly cultivate bodhicitta, which is the union of compassion and wisdom. Actually, practice plays a critical role. One who preaches something for 100, 1,000, or 10,000 times may still cannot put what he preaches into practice. Anyhow, a reminder of practice is better than nothing. Without a reminder, we may indulge ourselves in worldly occupations due to the good influence from our external environment and qualified teachers. We can often remind ourselves to practice, which is very important. Next is samaya. The verse states, from a powerful vajra holder with 8 qualifications, take on the samaya related to 4 empowerments. They will not be obtained if 2 causes and 4 conditions are absent. So strive in the methods for proper acquisition and protection. The first line states, from a powerful vajra holder with 8 qualifications, one receives the samayas. You can refer to the great chariot for scriptural evidence. The essence of clear light quoted the Mitra's instructions to explain the difference between Tantrayana masters and Sutrayana masters. A Tantrayana teacher should at least meet 8 qualifications, such as having perfected the 4 rivers of empowerment, keeping pure precepts, being learned in the tantras and activity, spontaneously accomplishing the 4 activities, having gained the inner experience, arousing great bodhicitta. There are many qualities that a Vajrayana teacher should have. When I taught the 50 verses of Guru devotion, I explained that from a qualified Vajrayana teacher, one would receive the 4 empowerments of vows, secret, knowledge, wisdom, and precious word. Each empowerment has its corresponding vows. One cannot obtain the 4 empowerments without the 2 causes and 4 conditions. As I explained when we studied tantric teachings, the 2 causes are the associated cause and the cooperative cause. The associated cause means that the being receiving empowerment must have the Buddha nature. A stone cannot obtain empowerment. Beings in the formless realm cannot obtain empowerment because there are no proper winds, channels, and bindus in their mind streams. The other cause is called cooperative cause, which means the presence of various substances, such as the vase, image cards, crystals, and so forth. As to the 4 conditions, the causal condition is the disciple who has faith and intelligence. The dominant condition is the teacher who is fully qualified and has blessings. The objective condition is the substances and mantras and liturgies. The immediate condition is the previous phase or empowerment, since each phase prepares the student for what follows. For instance, after the vast empowerment is the secret empowerment. Such an order cannot be changed. In a sense, the former is the cause, the latter is the result. Only when the two causes and four conditions are present can one obtain empowerment. The causes and conditions from the perspectives of both students and teacher must be present. Otherwise, a teacher merely holding a vase pretending to pour some water on you does not necessarily give you real empowerment. As a student, when you receive empowerment, you should generate bodhicitta, take refuge, and vow to uphold the precepts. You should visualize while reciting the liturgy. It's very necessary to do so. After empowerment, you must make every effort to uphold the corresponding precepts. Next verse is directly observing the mind. The verse states, having thus established a basis of pure ethical discipline, focus on the essential meaning of the sutra through study and reflection, and with the torch of the key points of Noble Master's pith instruction, look into the secret of your mind, the ultimate guide. This verse means that one should uphold the three vows mentioned previously as a basis, focus on the essential meaning of all sutras through listening, reflecting, and practicing, guide the practice through Noble Master's pith instruction, which is like a torch. Through these three causes of pure precepts, study and practice, and qualified teachers' pith instructions, one can look into the secret of one's mind and eventually realize the nature of the mind. This verse is a crucial pith instruction itself. Without pure precepts, study and practice, and Guru's pith instructions, one cannot realize the nature of the mind. In the treatise on Supreme Vehicle, it says that studying tens of thousands of sutras and treatises is no better than guiding one's own mind, guarding one's own mind. This scriptural evidence reveals that the essence of tens of thousands scriptures is the nature of one's mind. In the way of the bodhisattva, Shantideva states that all those who fail to understand the secret of the mind, the greatest of all things, although they wish for joy and sorrows and will wander at to no purpose, uselessly. When the teacher is expounding the Dharma, or when we are reading the Buddhist texts, it appears that we have mastered everything. Just like the other day, the Tibetan villager told me her husband has been seriously observing the mind every day, but his temper got bigger and bigger. Similarly, some practitioners used to blend in with the community when they didn't enter the Buddha Dharma. But as they started practicing meditation, their characters become rougher than before. In this case, one should feel sorry for himself. Having these precious instructions readily available, it would be such a pity if we don't put them into practice. It's like when we have a very nice car, but haven't driven it for years. If we don't practice these good dharmas or pith instructions, we will feel sorry at the time of death. Now that we have encountered these instructions, we should use them to observe our minds, to realize its true nature. Once you realize the nature of the mind, you will be at ease and attain a certain level of enlightenment. Everyone should contemplate about this. Next is about stages of practices. The verse states, through the common, uncommon, and special forms of mind training, gradually purify your mind stream and become a suitable vessel for dharma. If you do not tame your habitual patterns of negative thought, applying pith instructions will be like trying to cultivate highland in winter. The common forms of mind training include the rarity of human form and impermanence, etc. The uncommon forms of mind training include taking refuge, arousing bodhicitta, and accumulating merits, etc. The special forms of mind training include extraordinary practices in the great perfection, such as the 4 yogas. These methods can gradually purify one's mind stream and become suitable vessel for the dharma. Not every one of us is of the superior capacity. It can be said that most of us, or more than 90% of us, are of the middling or inferior capacity. Therefore, we must start our practice with the 500,000 preliminaries. Completion of it can help us ripen our mind stream and become a suitable vessel. This way, our practice can be a success. Otherwise, some people don't tame their mind. They let the greed, hatred, ignorance, and arrogance grow and just focus on high teachings such as the great perfection or Mahamudra. But these high states are very difficult to attain. It will be like trying to cultivate high ground in the winter, which will hardly reap a crop. These states of bodhisattvas are only attainable to those fortunate beings who are suitable dharma vessels. In Avatamsaka Sutra, it states that, like a fertile land can produce a large number of crops. From a pure mind, various dharmas can arise. It means that a pure mind is like a fertile land, which can produce various great quality crops. It can produce various great quality of the Buddha. On the contrary, if this is a wasteland, it will be impossible to grow good quality crops. This is a very good simile. Without knowing this principle, many may believe that as long as they read about the Platform Sutra of the Sixth Patriarch, the Great Perfection, or the Sudden Enlightenment in Chan school, they can immediately proceed to practice. Well, in fact, they are most likely not gaining real benefits by doing so. This verse requires us to take a step-by-step approach and study and practice the Dharma gradually. Next verse is exhort people to practice the great perfection. The verse states, the great perfection is the pinnacle of the ocean of sutra and mantra. Generate the power of intense appreciation, aspiration, and diligence for these instructions for traversing the path and levels all at once, and take them to heart with a focus on the essential meaning. The great perfection is the pinnacle of the ocean of sutra and mantra. Its instruction for traversing the path and levels all at once. So it's not a gradual path. This is because the great perfection is about primordial purity and spontaneous presence, which is an extremely high teaching. It can spontaneously transcend the entire 5 paths and 10 stages, which usually takes a practitioner 3 Asamkhya eons to do so. Since this instruction can traverse the path and levels all at once within this single lifetime, it must be very high teaching. As long as we have fervent faith and diligence and put these instructions into practice, we can attain enlightenment within this short lifetime. As stated in the Heart Essence, my heart's advice, at this time, when the darkness of the 5 degenerations prevails, it's hard for the starlight of the 8 lower yanas to banish it, so shine the light of Ningtik Sun with its 100,000 rays, all drawn along by the swift carriage of the 3 kinds of faith. To summarize, with the foundation of pure precepts, study, and step-by-step practice, one should eventually practice the great perfection. This is the path being adopted by His Holiness Jigme Rinpoche as lineage disciples of His Holiness. We should exert ourselves in upholding pure pratimoksha vows, bodhisattva vows, and samayas for the rest of our lives. If we can't uphold pure precepts strictly according to the sutras and tantras, we should make confessions and amendments so that our minds can be purified. We should diligently study and practice the dharma, eventually put the great perfection into practice. At last, we should dedicate the merit to be reborn in Sukhavati. It's of great significance to follow this approach in your practice. Next verse lays out the result of this practice. Practicing in this way will give significance to the freedoms and advantages, and you will discover the confidence of being without regrets at the time of death. Through the joyous celebration of spontaneously accomplishing the twofold benefit, you will show yourself immense kindness as your mind is happy and at ease. If we put the above instructions into practice, our human lives endowed with freedoms and advantages will be very meaningful. Everyone being present here is very fortunate because we have encountered precious dharma teachings, have human lives, and have been studying and practicing for so many years. These are very meaningful. If we hadn't encountered our teacher and dharma friends, how many negative actions we would have committed in this year. So this verse states, practicing in this way will give significance to freedoms and advantages, and you will discover the confidence of being without regrets at the time of death. Some practitioners believe that they have been practicing precious dharma like this for their entire life and have been making confession. Therefore, they feel confident at death and they have no fear or regret. They are quite confident they will not take rebirth. Even if they will not take rebirth in Sukhavati, they will not be reborn in lower realms, because they have tried their best in practicing Sutrayana and Tantrayana teachings in their life. When we're about to depart from this world, or even during our daily life, we should not be too humble. Some people always call themselves as shameful disciples or use other inferior titles. Of course, this may be because Asians tend to like modest people and deem being humble as a great quality. So when someone is giving a speech, he will say something like, I owe strong karmic debts and am not very well learned or intelligent. I don't uphold pure precepts and am easily irritated. People tend to use a lot of negative words to describe themselves. On one hand, from Buddhism perspective, it's good to be humble. On the other hand, however, in this modern world, many young adults are very direct. So when you say that you're not well learned, even if your hidden intention is to express that you're very knowledgeable, people will believe that you actually do not know much. When you say that you feel shameful, people will believe that you should feel shameful about yourself. So we don't need to be too humble. Some graduates from different Buddhist monasteries call themselves shameful disciples. But when they say those words, they don't necessarily feel that they deserve to be called shameful disciples. They may still have arrogance and just pretend to be humble. So we need to act appropriately, not being too humble or too arrogant. There is a saying, only looking up at the stars, but not the roads when walking, to describe those who are very arrogant. Some people might never look up at the sky when they walk. They just look down all the time. Actually, when you walk, you are supposed to only look forward, not too high or too low. We should have an attitude that is appropriate regarding our practice as well. The other day, I was on the phone with a middle school classmate who took ordination. I told him that although I didn't practice very well and just did okay, having encountered such great masters and precious dharma, I am feeling very satisfied. If I hadn't met my gurus and precious dharma, I would have committed so many negative deeds. I sincerely believe so. In this current age, war and famine occur in this world. Like in Middle East and other places, the worldwide situation becomes very complicated. At this time, we were born in Jambudvipa or in places where the Dharma is thriving. We have relied on many qualified teachers and obtained precious teachings. The only thing that I feel regretful is that I haven't spent a lot of time in practice. But for great perfection practitioners, even if you don't devote a whole lot of time into practice, you will not fall into the lower realms as long as you do not break samayas. At the time of your death, please do not feel sentimental, or else your consciousness at death can easily fall into the lower realms under the drive of your negative thoughts. If you feel that you will no longer live long in this world, you should adjust your mindset. Some senior practitioners feel very confident when they pass away. They feel that there is no regret because they try their best to take precepts, practice dharma, and benefit sentient beings. In this life, they have accomplished whatever need to be accomplished and have eaten whatever need to be eaten. They have seen all the aspects of this colorful world and have heard all kinds of melodious and noisy sounds. Their six faculties are gradually deteriorating, but they still have a sense of satisfaction. A while ago, I visited Dormang Monastery. I found that many senior practitioners in my age cannot really hear things clearly. When other monastics were laughing, they wondered why people laughed. They need to ask around to figure out what's going on. With the deteriorated 6 faculties, we will feel that everything tastes the same. Whether it's spicy or sweet, it's the same. When we were young, our sensory faculties used to be very sensitive, but that sensitivity gradually fades away. Despite of this, I always believe that we should have a sense of satisfaction that does not stem from material goods or your status or practice. It's the feeling that you have made great efforts in your life, so you don't have any regrets at time of death. Actually, it doesn't really make any difference when you're old, when you're sick, when you're about to die. It doesn't make any difference, even if you feel regretful. That's why in this verse, the result of the practice is meaningful human life and confidence without regrets upon death. The next line states, through the joyous celebration of spontaneous accomplishing twofold benefits, you will show yourself immense kindness as your mind is happy and at ease. If you generate bodhicitta in your mind, this bodhicitta will not disappear when you die. It can spontaneously accomplish twofold benefit. It will not fade away until Buddhahood. You will show yourself immense kindness because you don't commit negative acts every day. Those who put the instructions into practice in this entire life will be happy and at ease, and people around them will be happy as well. Such result is something that we all want. We should all put the instructions into practice. Many of you didn't study the Dharma when you were young, so you unavoidably committed unwholesome deeds in the past. It's fortunate that you encountered the Dharma, so you should take precepts and make confessions. All in all, make sure that you do not generate wrong views towards the Three Jewels and the Guru. Otherwise, it may be difficult for you and beings connected to you to attain liberations. In the Heap of Jewels, the Buddha said that during the council grounds, a lot of people slandered him about his conduct and precepts, etc. But he never regressed from the path. So it's normal for us to encounter various adversities. People may slander you or misunderstand you. Even a great noble being like Buddha Shakyamuni was slandered by some people intentionally or unintentionally. We ordinary beings in this degenerate age must have encountered various difficulties and suffered a lot of pain. Every one of us will experience pain and difficulty of our own. Everyone must have happy and sad stories. You can tell others about them. People will find your story inspiring when they know how you coped with adversities, how you handled grievance when you were being wronged, how you practiced dharma under favorable conditions, how you followed your teacher, how you generated renunciation, how you went to a quiet mountain to practice dharma, how you obtained the secret, supreme, great perfection. Generally speaking, we should not generate wrong views towards our teacher and the Three Jewels. If we did so under the drive of heavy karmic debts, we should exert ourselves in making confessions. I feel that everyone being present here should be very happy. Why is that? We're not born in a time when famine is rampant and people die due to lack of food, clothing, or extreme coldness. Right now, every one of us does not need to worry about our basic needs, which is the major source of happiness. On top of that, we can practice Mahayana Buddhism. Not many people have such kind of opportunity. The Tibetan region actually lacks resources, but Sutrayana Buddhism and Tantrayana Buddhism are thriving here. Thus, having gained these precious teachings, we should feel very happy. We have benefited some beings in this lifetime, and we should strive to benefit more in the future lifetimes. Next, the dedication verse states, "Through the virtue of speaking these words, may the sages' teachings flourish and all beings be happy. May I too, in all my lives to come, bring vast waves of benefit to others." This verse is to dedicate the merit accumulated through speaking above mentioned instructions. Lama Mumtso aspires to help all beings to gain temporary and ultimate happiness in all her lives to come. She aspires to benefit all sentient beings. We should make the same aspirations when we recite the King of Aspiration prayers after class. The essence of the 10,000 grand aspirations made by Samatapardra is propagating dharma and benefiting beings. All teachings in the King of Aspiration prayers can be condensed into the aspirations in quintessence of oceanic prayers of aspiration, which is benefiting beings and propagating dharma. We should also aspire that we can benefit countless beings through Mahayana Buddhism in all our lives to come. The power of such aspiration is significant. The guidance is very good. If you have any chance to teach 1 or 2 Dharma lessons, you should choose this guidance. But this can be taught briefly or extensively. If someone wants to learn something that can be put into practice, you should teach him to uphold pure precepts, gradually study and practice the Dharma, and practice great perfection in the end. We should not be so sentimental every day and feel that everything is problematic and the entire world is filthy. If you let this negative emotion overtake you, you will not be happy. This is not good. We should feel happy for having the opportunity to study the Dharma. Though this teaching appears to be very easy based on its plain meaning, its content is quite profound. From the perspective of the teaching itself, it doesn't necessarily matter whether it's composed by a male or a female master, but from the perspective of the author, as we explained previously, Lama Mumtso is an accomplished female master who is rare to encounter in this modern age. Through her power and aspirations, many have the opportunity to follow her. Of course, cooking for her or running errands for her is considered reliance through body and speech. But the most important and supreme method of reliance out of the 3 ways of pleasing or serving the teacher is studying and practicing the Dharma. I sincerely believe that in this modern age, Lama Mumtso is one of the most accomplished female masters. A female master with so many great qualities like her is rarely seen. Just look at the grand spectacle of the empowerments that she gave back in 2016 or 2017. I bet that you will be inspired when you see such a grand scene of empowerments. The biography of Lama Mumtso contains many great pictures of her. It can be considered as a historical photo collection of her. When we see these photos, we should think about how she grew up and will be intrigued to know her special stories. Actually, Mindrolling Monastery recognized Lama Mumtso as a reincarnation of Jetsünma Mumé back then in 1998. His Holiness asked me to accompany Lama Mumtso to Mindrolling Monastery for her enthronement ceremony in Lhasa. This fact is also stated in Lama Mumtso's biography. She recalled scenes occurred in her past life back then. I will not elaborate here. But Jetsünma Mumé and many other figures in Lama Mumtso's past lives were remarkable practitioners. Sometimes modern people find it very hard to accept facts occurred in the past lives, so we mainly focus on Lama Mumtso's great qualities and powers in her current life. Just observing the way she interacts with people and handles things, and how she engages in her own practice, we will know her great quality. Among all the female practitioners and male practitioners, how many have completed 100 million repetition of a mantra? It might appear to be very easy if we simply talk about it, but it's actually very hard to put it into practice, not to mention 110 million repetitions. How many of us have completed the 1 million repetition of the Manjushri mantra that all of us vowed to complete last year? Everyone may look the same or share the same age, but people vary in terms of how they practice dharma and how they handle things. Lama Mumtso does very well in time management and taming her own mind. Moreover, among all His Holiness lineage disciples, Lama Mumtso is the singular person who has received the most teachings from His Holiness. This is mentioned in Lama Mumtso's biography. Disciples like me started following His Holiness in the 80s. So I receive his teachings from the 80s till his nirvana, but didn't receive his teachings when His Holiness was young. Lama Mumtso received the complete teachings from His Holiness during this time. Additionally, Lama Mumtso is very obedient to His Holiness. Many women in Tibetan region or Han region do not necessarily listen to their uncles. Sometimes, based on trivial matters, we can see the difference between an ordinary person and a saint. While we have the opportunity to follow her, we should have pure precepts, pure perceptions towards Lama Mumtso, and also put her instructions into actual practice. Many senior practitioners have listened teachings such as 3 vows for so many times, and they can put it into practice very well. Some people might not practice very well. Anyhow, studying and practicing Dharma can benefit our mind streams. We should aspire that in all our future times we can benefit beings through Mahayana Buddhism. This was written in the Hermitage of Great Secret Liberation into Body of Light on 25th day of the 9th month of our Iron Dragon year by the Sramanarika, follower of Shakyamuni, called Mumtso, in response to a request from some lamas monks who hold the dharma lineage of Orgyen Mindrolling. In 1998, I accompanied Lama Mumtso to Mindrolling Monastery. When we traveled to Lhasa, I rode the same car with the abbot at the time. Our car fell into the Yalong Samba River. Fortunately, none of us died in that accident. It's just that I dropped one of my shoes into the river. Afterwards, His Holiness commented that we didn't encounter any major adversity during the trip to Mindrolling Monastery, except that I lost one of my shoes. Due to severe mechanical issues of the car at the time, it fell into the river. It was quite dangerous. This experience can be considered as a challenge or a type of practice. This guidance was composed by Lama Mumtso in 2000. As some senior practitioners may recall, some great masters holding the lineage of Orgyen Mindrolling held another enthronement ceremony for Lama Mumtso in our Dharma hall. This is recorded in Lama Mumtso's biography as well. The Hermitage of Great Secret Liberation into Body of Light refers to Larungar. It's another name for Larungar. This is because, according to Dudrung Rinpoche's biography, Larungar is the place where 13 great masters attended the rainbow body. That's why we often see rainbows here. Yesterday, there was a beautiful rainbow in the sky. Did anyone attend the rainbow body yesterday? Anyhow, the Hermitage of Great Secret Liberation into Body of Light is another name for Larungar. When I first came here, I thought this was a great name. May it bring virtue and excellence. I translated this guidance into Chinese on February 12th, 2024. That's it for today. Tomorrow we'll continue to study the Surangama Sutra in the second volume of A Journey to the West.